Steve Smith remembering Prince, whose death was announced today, and joining us now, the soul singer MIca Paris, and in Amsterdam, the artist and Oscar-winning director Steve McQueen. It's great to have you both. Thanks for joining us. And MIca, you shared a manager with Prince. Just take us through the story of how you first met him.
Well, it's really strange. I was a huge fan, and I was given that golden ticket for the private show at the Camden Palace, and everybody was there. Every A-lister was there. I was 18, standing in the audience, looking at my hero, thinking, wow, I can't believe I'm actually watching Prince. And he called out and said, I think your name's MIca, sing. I was just completely blown away. Gave me the mic and I started singing Just My Imagination by The Temptations. I totally forgot the words, so I made it a complete ad-lib thing because I was blown away, terrified. That's the kind of person he was. He was very instinctive. And then he called me up and asked me to come to Minneapolis. Went to Paisley Park, and he wrote me a song for my second album. And I'm just totally in shock, to be honest.
So you literally sang from the audience as a, how old were you then?
18.
And the next thing you knew, he was writing songs with you and for you?
Yeah, for the second album, yeah. It's amazing. I mean, it was shocking for me at the time, obviously, but it was like surreal, you know, because he was, but he was like that. If he liked you, he would find a way to contact you and work with you, because that's what he's like. He knows what he likes, you know.
And Steve,
he knew what he liked.
Steve McQueen, what was it for you that the pull of Prince? What really drew you into him?
It was the freedom. There was a black artist who was totally and utterly free and inclusive. Wrote, produced, arranged, played all the instruments, and he was sexy, and he was religious, and he was free in every single aspect of his life. And he portrayed what he did in such style and with such funk. You had to go along with Prince. Prince was Prince. There's only one Prince.
You wanted to make a film with him or about him. What did he want to say?
No, the camera would have been shaking if I was making a movie with Prince. No, I met him after I won the Oscar. We talked, and he was just an extraordinary, generous person. He took off his shades when he met my mother, and I just thanked him for what he did for. What he had done for black artists and for black people, because he was just a megastar. He was the best. He was the best. I mean, there was no one who could touch him with a guitar, you know, dancing, writing, singing. I mean, who has all those talents? Who has all those gifts?
Help me unpick that a little bit, and I'm going to come back to you, MIca, for the same question in a second. But Steve, when you say all that he did for black artists, what do you think he did? You've talked about freedom and liberation. What did he give black artists?
He was never afraid. Do you know, he was never afraid.
I wouldn't just say black artists. I wouldn't just say black artists, but I think for young black people, it was the first time, you know, there's kind of shackles of in an industry. I mean, he was free. I mean, you know, to put an album every year, to tour when he wanted, to do a after show. You know, this is a real artist with no boundaries, and I think that sort of I mean, he is so influential. Look at all the albums that came out in the 80s and all the people who copied him. I mean, from George Michael, etc., etc. I mean, the 80s and beyond were Prince. You know, everyone copied Prince because he was the way.
And MIca, did he feel like that? Did he see himself in that way? Or did he see himself as a man constantly struggling to, I don't know, change or do more?
I never got that from him. What I got from him was he was music. He lived it, breathed it. Every aspect of him was music. I mean, I'd be in the studio with him, it would be like till 6, 7 in the morning. He was still going like like it was the daytime. He was a workaholic. It was all about music.
And he worked incredibly fast. I mean, some of the songs we know they're alleged to have been written in 10 minutes.
Yes. Yeah. And loads of them as well. I remember when he was telling me that he's got vaults of songs, like vaults of songs that go on and on, loads and loads and loads. He's constantly working all the time. Amazing.
Steve, do you think there's sort of untapped music that we're only just sort of coming to now? Was there a lot of stuff that never really saw the light?
I don't know about that, but all I want to say is that what he did in, unfortunately, his short lifetime, it's just incredible. I mean, there's enough music that he's produced for 3-4 lifetimes. I mean, he's done so much musically, and it's incredible. That's all I can say, really.
He moved into movies, of course. What do you think his influence was there? I mean, it's, you know, it's not everyone that can actually make that crossover.
Well, I think Spike said it. Spike Lee said it. I mean, at that time when he did, was it Purple Rain? You know, that was hugely influential as a black artist. You know, as having a movie about himself and him, you know, and he produced it, and he was, you know, financially involved in it, and it was a hit. I mean, it was unprecedented. And when was it? It was 84, 85. I think it was 84. Purple Rain. Amazing. And then, of course, he directed the second one under the Cherry Moon. You know, he was a pioneer. He was a pioneer. I mean, no one can touch him. It's just simple and plain as that. And MIca, tell me someone who can. He
was such a sort of a contradiction of figures as well. He was somebody who felt deeply religious, but deeply sexual on stage as well, and outwardly sexual.
I mean, when I got into Prince, before I met him, what happened was I had his album and he had suspenders on, and you know, I come from the church, you know, so I used to have to hide the album in the house from my grandparents, you know, who were ministers, because everyone was just on me. You can't have that. That's wrong. But it didn't matter that he had suspenders on, because when you heard that funky beat, you just couldn't even. I mean, he was just shocking. The way he fused all the different styles as well. You have to remember that he fused funk, soul, jazz, classical, and then he mixed that with technology. The way he was so ahead with technology as well. He was definitely an enigma, you know.
This news today has come as a huge. Steve.
I was quite sad, actually. I was quite sad before I come to this program, but hearing MIca talk about Prince and hearing the memories, there's so much joy, because there's so much kind of, you know, there's so much artistry and what he did and what he achieved. It's pretty incredible when you think back at it. It's pretty incredible. So just what MIca was saying is, you know, it just gives me, you know, lots of warmth in my chest, rather than, I was feeling sad before I came on, but boy, Prince knocked the ball way out of the park.
What do you point to, Steve? Was there a moment when you can remember thinking, this man is changing my life, or this man is going to have a profound effect on who I am from now on? Steve?
I mean, you remember this guy came out with an album every year. I mean, it was just incredible. I mean, I remember when my friend Mark Carrington gave me sort of what was it? What was that album? Excuse me. Whatever. I'm losing my train of thought. Anyway, he gave me this album, and I was listening to it, and I was just, wow! Every track was revolutionary. I mean, you know, If I Was Your Girlfriend. I mean, hello. I mean, speeding up the vocals, you know, and the whole idea of him being male, female, inclusive, black, white, love, baby, love, #1, Prince. No one could touch him. But I think no one could touch him. Trust me.
I think the best one was Sign of the Times, because this was a revolutionary album.
That's the album. Sorry,
it was very sparse. Damn right. Sign of the Times. It was sparse. There was hardly any musical instruments in there, but the message was so powerful.
I think there's going to be a lot
for me, that was the pinnacle.
We've only just begun the reliving, haven't we? Before we go, MIca, you were one of the few, it seems, who spotted some of the warning signs over the last year that maybe all wasn't well with his health.
Well, I saw him last year. I didn't think that. I just thought he was a bit thin. That was the only thing I thought. It was the slimmest I'd ever seen him in all the years I'd known him, and it was something I thought, he looks a bit thin, but I think he works so hard. This is a guy who is constantly touring, constantly working, hardly slept, loved his job.
It's great to have you both. Thank you both very much indeed. Really appreciate you joining us tonight.
Thank you. Cheers.